Hey, how's it going there, everybody? Chris Ward coming to you from the top of Arunachala, which towers over Thiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu in southern India. And so I just crested the hill, super excited, and I realized that I hadn't really shown you all this before. And it's a little bit difficult to see the city down there just because of the fog. But I'm going to take you all around real quick, show you what this all looks like up here. So here at the top of the mountain, you'll see there's like this oil substance that covers it, so it's a little greasy up here, but you have 360-degree view of the valley, which is absolutely breathtaking. And this is a top spiritual spot in the Hindu religion. They believe that God, namely Shiva, is actually in the mountain itself, and so a lot of people make the grueling walk up here. I was able to make it in just over an hour and a half, which is pretty good. But it appears that the forest department of Tamil Nadu has now banned anybody from coming up here, so it may be a while before I make it up to this place again. That's my water bottle, by the way. All right, so let's have a little chat. So how's it going, everybody? It was a little winded still left from that hike, but super excited to be back up here. It's funny is because after I found out that it was banned, the guy that stopped me and asked me if I had permission to come up here showed me the quickest way to get up, a way that I've never been up before. So it was funny that the one time it's not legal for me to come up here was the quickest run up the side of the mountain that I've ever taken. So, but I wanted to chat with, there's kind of this topic that has been kind of running through my mind lately in the last even couple of months, of the idea of predestiny versus free will. And I'm reminded of this. I was watching this program on Netflix, it was on Fox before, called Lucifer. And it tells the story of Lucifer, this character, Lucifer Morningstar, who was the devil who decides to take a break from going to hell, or reigning over hell, to come to earth and take basically a vacation. And he learns a lot about himself, and you know, throughout the story, the kind of overlining theme is that he's very resentful of his overbearing father, God, who he believes is dictating every part of his life and manipulating not just him, but the people that he cares about. And so he just grows this, you know, anger against God. And I look at this story, and a lot of people, you know, they get hung up on the story of Lucifer. And for one, the show is not biblically correct. It's based on a Vertigo comic book. And so, yeah, it's not biblically accurate. So I would go as far as to say it's not true. But in the story of Lucifer, you know, to talk about the story of Lucifer anyway, you have to look at the historical, you know, the timeline of the evolution of the story of Satan. And this comes back into play as to what I'm talking about as far as predestiny versus free will. But you know, what we know of as the devil today is not the devil of antiquity. You know, the story that we have today of Lucifer is essentially kind of a mix of different stories from different eras, if you will. I mean, if you go back to the Greeks, you know, the Greeks had a couple of different characters that became the devil as we know it today. For one, they had Pan, who was a hooved character with horns, who often celebrated in sex and music and dance and so on and so forth. And that was kind of the hooves and the horns is what, you know, we kind of attach to Lucifer today. There was also Hades, the god of the underworld. Now, we always would think of Hades being in the underworld, that you know, we often believe that he was, you know, we know that he was the brother of Zeus. And a lot of people think that he was evil, but that was never the case. Hades was never in conflict with Zeus. They were brothers. It was just his role was to reign over the underworld. And this morphed into the Roman god of Pluto, who was also the god of the underworld. But it goes much older than that. I mean, if you go it was the ancient Egyptians had a god they called Bes. And Bes was celebrated. He was the god of, again, kind of like Pan character, where he was a fun-loving character who actually was, whose likeness, his image was used to keep away evil spirits. But if you looked at him, he was a horned character with a vibrated tongue, and he looked very menacing at his image, but was far from it. They actually would, you know, put him on baby carriages and put him up as decorations in houses, so on and so forth. We can go back even further than the Egyptians, and we can go to the Sumerians. And there were the story of in the ancient Sumeria was there were two brothers. There was Enki and Enlil, and the two brothers were gods. And Enlil, you know, essentially created human beings as slaves to serve the gods. Well, Enki, his brother, did not like how the humans were being treated. He spent a lot of time with the humans, kind of fell in love with them, and so he actually started teaching them, you know, about free will, teaching them that they had an option to do whatever they wanted, that they didn't have to just serve the gods. You know, he was the one that brought the knowledge of fire to the human beings. And so, and if you look at the two, you know, Enlil would be your character that today's Christians would deem as God, and Enki would be today's version of Satan. Now the reality is that these are all just stories. None of them are based in any factual characters. They were all stories written discussing the duality of good and evil, you know, talking about predestiny and free will. And all of us, when we were born, we had a genetic code. We were genetically predispositioned for something in this life that we had no choice in the matter. Although we were predestined, we were created. You know, scientists are even exploring now that not only does our DNA carry the story of how we are built physically, but also that our memories are actually being stored in our DNA. And so you're carrying down the memories of your forefathers. So when you're born, you're genetically predispositioned for something, whether that be red hair, brown hair, tall, short, you know, chubby, skinny, so on and so forth. But then, as we're evolving, the story, our identity is being manufactured by exterior elements. Our parents, you know, where we were born, you know, geographically, our parents, who our parents were, what our parents' belief systems, the religion you were born in, the you know, the schools that you go to, your teachers, all of these are forming your identity, and they take years. Everything from in utero. They're saying that childhood development, you know, of course, begins in the womb. You know, that even parents, if parents are under a lot of stress and high cortisol levels, will leave a child to be predispositioned for addiction. Everything from music or sex to drugs and alcohol, so on and so forth. So in all that, because of so much of our identity is created for us, a lot of people don't believe in free will. And a lot of, you know, religious fundamentalists, I would say, believe that everything has already been predestined, meaning that regardless of what you choose to do in this life, everything was already chosen for you. You know, a lot of times people take from scripture, they say, God said that I knew you before you were born. Now, if you believe all that, then it doesn't give you much hope to live the life that you want to, in which lies free will. So despite all your genetic predispositions, you make the choices that of the life that you want to live. Now, the reality is you can't be whatever you want. A lot of people say, oh, you can be whatever you want to be. That is not true.
You cannot be, some of you are not predispositioned to be an NBA player. Some of us do not have the computing capacity to be a nuclear physicist. Some of us do not have the hands of an artist or a surgeon. So, but we've got to find things that we're passionate about and excel, and enjoy what we want to do in life. But a lot of us, we believe in these stories and we defend our identities vehemently without ever questioning why we believe in certain ways in the first place. I hear a lot of this comes up in politics. A lot of people that have political beliefs do so because those were the beliefs of their parents, without ever stopping to ask, why do I believe this way in the first place? Just because your grandfather was a coal miner and your father was a coal miner doesn't mean you have to be a coal miner. So in that being the way, if we do have free will, but we do have certain limitations, this gives us the opportunity to choose the outcome. Now, there is karma. I'm in India right now. Karma is a big thing. But a lot of us think of karma as being bad or good. It is. It's both. Karma is neither good nor bad. Karma just happens. And what it is it's the decisions that you make as they impact the decisions that everybody else is making. That's what karma is. I hear people joke and they say, I have good parking karma. Whenever they drive into a parking lot and they find a good parking space near the entrance of a store. And it's because you chose to leave the house at a particular time and you hit certain intersections at certain times and you got to that specific place where there was no car parked at a very specific time. That's karma. You're the one that said it was good. What if at one of those intersections, have you ever been in an intersection where you saw somebody run a red light and you knew that if you were just 3 or 4 seconds further ahead in your journey, you would have been T-boned, right? That would have been bad karma. But we assign it as good or bad. It's neither. It's just the culmination of all the decisions that you make and that everybody else makes. Because in reality is, all of us are interconnected. All life in the universe is. The story of Lucifer Morningstar in the television series is that he ultimately discovers the fact that God is not making all the decisions, and that everything from his devil's face to what's going on in his life were because of the decisions that he was making. And it was a huge awakening for he and his brother in the story, that they got to choose what was happening to them. And the funny thing is that even hell, in Norse mythology, the story of Loki, who would also be another story that the devil's taken from, the god Loki had a son named Hel, who reigned over, guess what? Hell. That's right, in Norse mythology. And so, what hell is in this story is hell. What they say is that God nor the devil put you in hell. You had some regret that you could not get over, and so you actually condemn yourself to relive your regret over and over and over for eternity until you forgive yourself. This concept of you choose your heaven and hell was popularized in the film with Robin Williams called What Dreams May Come. And I thought that was brilliant, is that you get to choose what happens in the afterlife, based on whether or not you choose to live in paradise, or if you want to suffer the repetition of your regrets over and over again for eternity, and what in Lucifer they called the hell loop. And I thought that was a great concept, and I would encourage each and every one of us is to not depend so much on God to make good things happen, nor blame the devil when the bad things happen. Just accept things for as they are. They're happening. It's how you react to what's happening that makes them good or bad. So that's just a concept, that I've been kind of reeling over. Share with me what your thoughts are, whether you believe in predestiny, or you believe in free will, or don't believe in either. Share with me, what are your thoughts on the life that you've chosen, and start questioning some of your beliefs. If you have religious, political, sociological beliefs, why? Why do you believe the way you believe? And I think that the moment we start asking ourselves more questions, I think, and being a little more critical in our thinking process, I think that we're going to see our society turn around and all of us will rise to a higher level of consciousness. With that, this is Chris Ward coming to you from Arunachala, right outside of the village of Thiruvannamalai in the state of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, just a side note, as a matter of fact, is a fascinating place because this is where Sanskrit, the language, this is one of the cradles of civilization, is in southern India. And so it's a fascinating place to learn about the history of our species, the Homo sapiens. So again, thank you all very much for continuing to travel the world with me. Tune in as I continue to trek, heading off to the city of Pondicherry and Auroville today. And so I'll see you all there. Thank you all for touring with me, and stay tuned, subscribe, and share with me your experiences. I want to travel with you as well. Chris Ward, signing off.